back. If you're new, I'm Cass, the yarn vendor behind Blue Shadow Creations. I just wanted to share a couple of tips if you're just starting to crochet. Maybe you don't really know where you're going with it. You don't know anybody in your life who crochets. I didn't when I first started. I didn't know anybody at all who could crochet, so I was kind of just on my own. I didn't even know you could make plushies. I just thought like crochet was blankets and sweaters and scarves and stuff. I didn't realize you could make so many things with crochet. So let's get into it. You don't need to go out and buy a whole bunch of expensive things. You don't need the most expensive hooks. You don't need the most expensive yarn. It's just not necessary. You can go on Amazon and get everything you need. Or if you don't want to wait, you don't have the patience. I don't always have the patience. You can go to Hobby Lobby. I recommend going on the week that they have their yarn sale. Every other week, Hobby Lobby has a 30% off of their yarn, and you can find really affordable, pretty, and soft yarn there. So let's go ahead and get started. Aluminum hooks. These are probably the cheapest hooks other than these horrible plastic ones. This is an all plastic hook, and you can just snap this. I'm not going to because I'll be so sad that another one broke, but they break really easily, so I would go with aluminum. You can get these off of Amazon, or you can get them at Hobby Lobby. They're like $2 at Hobby Lobby. You can get a whole pack for like $8 on Amazon. I think they even have some at Hobby Lobby with a whole pack for like $10, so it just depends on what you want to do. If you don't want to buy a whole set, I would get a size 5 hook. This is a 6, this is a 4. I would get 5. That's like pretty in the middle there. It's good for plushies, it's good for wearables. So I would get a size 5 aluminum hook, cheapest one there is. You're gonna spend about $3 on it. And make sure you don't get any yarn that is like this, variegated or multicolor, because it can be harder to see your stitches when you're first starting out. So you don't want to get a multicolor yarn like this. You want to get a solid color yarn. This is really good. I like this yarn. It's called I Love This Yarn. It is Hobby Lobby brand, acrylic, and yeah, I think it's a size 4. Yep, size 4 medium. So, solid color. I Love This Yarn from Hobby Lobby during the 30% off sale. And aluminum hook that you can also get at Hobby Lobby. And then don't forget, you're gonna need stitch markers. This is just to keep track of your stitches. You wanna make sure you're keeping track of the first stitch of your row or your round, whatever you're working on, so you don't mess up your project. Stitch markers can look like all types of things. So you can have some like this. Some people make their own and have clasps. You can buy some that are like this. Personally, you can get a whole pack of these off Amazon for like $6, and it comes with like 100 of them. That's what I do because I lose them all the time. They're always getting lost, so I would just buy it in bulk right now because, yeah. But these are best. You can actually close it and not have to worry about it coming out. So you're gonna need that. Also on Amazon. Don't mind me. Also on Amazon, what you're going to want to get is a tapestry needle or a darning needle, whatever. It's just a pretty thick needle. I like the curved ones like this, and you're going to need this to sew your projects together. So if you're making an ear warmer, when you get to the edges, you're going to have to sew that together. If you're making plushies, you're going to have to sew in all of your ends. This is just going to be very helpful for you to have on hand. So you need a tapestry needle, you need stitch marker, you need an aluminum hook, and you need a single color solid acrylic yarn. If you're starting off with plushies, which I did, I started off making plushies before I got into like making wearables and stuff. You're gonna need some polyfill. That's just like cotton. It looks like cotton filling. You can also pick up a small bag of that at Hobby Lobby. So you can pick up the polyfill, the stitch markers, darning needles, and hooks and yarn at Hobby Lobby. So everything you need is in one stop for convenience. It's pretty affordable. That's the route that I would go. You want to make sure that when you're learning, you learn a magic ring. You're going to need to know a magic ring for almost every plushie you do, some hats you do, some wearables. Start with a magic ring. You have to learn that. It's a little confusing at first, but once you do it a couple of times, you'll never forget it. So magic ring, I recommend learning how to read patterns. I know a lot of people don't know how to read patterns. They just watch videos or they freehand everything and it works for them. I can't imagine it working for me. I have to read a pattern because I can't remember everything. And also, if you can't read a pattern, how can you write a pattern? And yeah, so learn to read a pattern. It's really simple. Every pattern gives you a term chart or abbreviation chart. So it'll say SC means single crochet, DC means double crochet. It tells you a list of materials you need. It'll say like acrylic or wool or parfait chunky, you know, all different types of yarn that they use for their project. So it's recommended materials. And so you've got everything that you need right there. As far as learning the stitches, if you get a pattern, you can find free ones on Pinterest or Instagram. I would do that first. And it says, oh, do 6 single crochets and then do a puff stitch. And you're sitting there like, okay, I learned a single crochet, but what the heck is a puff stitch? Go to YouTube and type in puff stitch crochet, and a ton of videos will come up showing you exactly what a puff stitch is. That's how I learned how to do it. I would just read the pattern, and when it got to something that I didn't know how to do, I was like, let me just look up like a picot stitch, because what the heck is that? And then I looked it up, and then it's like, oh great, so I do 6 of these and then I do a picot, and then I do 6 of these and then I do a picot. That's great, now I know how to do it. That's the best way to go. I think if you're making plushies, it's probably a good idea to also invest in safety eyes. They can be really affordable. They're typically like plain, they don't have a color to it, and they come with a backing, or they are like this style. This is called kawaii eye. You can get those off Amazon, and somebody did tell me that they had some in the doll section at Hobby Lobby. I have never seen it. I don't know if I just go when everybody grabs them and that's why I never see them, but I've never seen them. They said they have them. I guess you can check there, but I get all of mine off Amazon. I paint mine sometimes, they're really cute. I also like to crochet a lot of mine, so I'm not really big on I have to have safety eyes. Just something to keep in mind, because as a beginner, you probably aren't going to be able to crochet very cute eyes. You can always just embroider them on, but safety eyes if you're going for plushies. Also, really quick, the difference between rows and rounds. This is worked in a row, so that means I chained, and then I chained 1 and I single crocheted back. Chain 1, single crochet back. So I went back and forth, whereas this plushie is worked in rounds, and you can see here there's kind of like a spiral. So this is a round, this is a row. It seems pretty self-explanatory, but also when you're first starting, you're like, what does that mean? I get it. And the last thing, oh, I cannot stress enough, count your stitches. I recently started teaching a crochet class. You have to count your stitches, because if you don't count your stitches, you're gonna end up with something wonky. Okay, like if I didn't count my stitches, none of the colors would have lined up properly, and it would just not look right. So make sure that you are counting your stitches. The stitch markers are going to help you with that, and at the end of every row, you want to make sure you have the same amount the pattern calls for. So if it says 6 single crochets, and then at the end it'll have parentheses, 6 in a parentheses, you want to make sure you have 6. Then the next one will say increase. Oh, what's an increase? Go to YouTube, crochet increase. It will tell you. You'll say great. At the end of the row you should have 12 single crochets. You want to count your stitches and make sure you have 12. Because otherwise your project is not going to turn out right, and you're going to be beating yourself up like, what did I do wrong? That's what you did wrong. You have to count. Okay? And that's pretty much it. That's all I have for tips. That's all I think that would have really helped me out. I had nobody to ask. Turns out that there's a very large crochet community. So many people crochet, from like age 10 to age 80. Like, there are just so many people all over the world who are crocheting, and it's fantastic, and I had no idea that there was a whole community out there who was into this granny hobby. So if you need any help, just reach out to literally almost anybody and somebody will help you. I hope I helped, and leave a comment if you have any other questions. Have a nice day.